Everyone, welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. This is an audio chapter of Legend of Zelda Opposition into Arsenal. This will be a rough draft of the chapter from potentially the upcoming Faith and Fandom Book 10. And so I'm going to jump right on it and read through this rough draft together. Here we go. In The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, we finally get to have Zelda as the main playable character of a game in her decades-long namesake franchise. In the game's story, Link has been sucked into the Still World by an evil entity known as Null. Not only has Null captured the hero of time, but he is creating huge rifts throughout Hyrule and flooding what remains with evil doppelgangers. Zelda, imprisoned by an evil doppelganger of her father, encounters a magical being called Tri. Tri and her friends have the responsibility of healing the rifts, keeping the darkness at bay. Tri gives Zelda a tool called the Tri Rod. This magical device allows Zelda to create echoes of the things she encounters if she can first overcome them. The things she faces may be as monstrous as moblins or as simple as a bed, which is absolutely the most useful thing in the game. But first, Zelda and the player must be in the place where they see the obstacles in front of them not as a threat, but as a possibility. Many of us struggle when we see opposition of any kind, whether it is actually someone who considers us their enemy, or just a circumstance in life that may be more difficult than we desire to face. In game, there isn't a single creature or circumstance that can't be overcome, and the same is true for us. There is no opposition we face in life that is fully able to take us down, because God has enabled us, through His strength, to endure. Isaiah 54:17 reads, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me." Even Jesus, when he was preparing his disciples for his absence, warned them of obstacles but encouraged them in his provision. John 16:33 states, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Jesus let them know that no matter what they and we face, that he has defeated it. And that means he has given us the ability to do the same as we follow him. This game changed the traditional Link gameplay concept of just defeating the bad guy to move forward. Instead, as Zelda, you now overcome your opposition to become better equipped. Zelda has no traditional weapons or offensive attacks, but she is far from defenseless. Every monster and villain you face only made you that much better equipped. Once you overcome an obstacle, you gain the ability to create echoes of that obstacle, be it a pot to hide in, or a battle axe wielding knight, which is my favorite fighter to use. Just like the opposition that's meant to stop you in game can be used to your advantage, the opposition you face in real life can be used to your advantage. Sometimes with God using your circumstances for the benefit of others. Genesis 50:20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Sometimes God uses your circumstances just to make you strong enough to be able to face what comes next. As you learn echoes, mend rifts, and further bring restoration, Zelda gets stronger. The longer she endures, the more powerful she becomes, and it's no different from us. James 1:2-5 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given to you." As you learn different echoes and your arsenal of memories continues to grow vaster, you still face the natural gaming instinct to just run up and smack things. Because traditionally, you fighting every battle on your own isn't just an option, it's the expectation. In most gaming scenarios, you're the only hope. You're the only one you can rely on. If you don't fight the fight, no one will. This game even gives you the option to embody a version of Link for brief periods, so you can slash and smack your opposition. Side note, I avoided the Link embodiment as much as possible because I wanted to truly do things as Zelda, and it felt low-key disrespectful to have to pretend to be Link to enjoy the game. This game shows you that you don't have to fight every battle, but you do have to face them. When you face opposition, you have the responsibility to choose your response. It's no different for us. But you don't have to do it on your own. You can literally send warriors to fight for you while you lay in bed and recover hearts. As people who follow God, you don't have to fight every conflict, nor should you. Just because you can fight or even have the right to fight doesn't mean you need to or should. Sometimes just standing back and letting God defend and fight for you is the most vital thing you can do. As Moses emboldened the fearful Israelites mid-Exodus, Exodus 13 through 14, Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still." You don't have to fight. You just need to choose who is going to fight for you. That honestly can become pretty overwhelming in the latter portions of the game, when you've collected what feels like hundreds of echoes and you have to scroll for days to choose what is right and appropriate for each encounter, because you aren't just choosing how to fight, but how to respond, how to move forward, whether it be a block of water, a spider web, a cloud, or anything else. Some circumstances just require you to be attentive and wise. We do ourselves a disservice as believers when we rely on things other than God to fight for us. Sometimes we allow our social status, our relationships, our accomplishments, or our resources to fight for us. None of those will do the job. The Apostle Paul instructs us to take the same approach when we are dealing with people who don't know God. Not that we see them as an enemy to fight, but as an opportunity to move forward. Colossians 4:5-6 says, "Be wise in the way you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." Wisdom, attentiveness, and discernment go a long way from turning a potential conflict into a potential healing. Enemies to allies, opposition to opportunities, burdens to blessings. Wisdom is one of the greatest weapons. Knowledge is simply information. Wisdom is the proper application of information. Most believers don't need more information. They need to actually apply what they already know. There were times in the game I was stuck, not because I didn't have what I needed, but because I didn't remember that I had it. I knew the right thing to do, but was absolutely failing in actually doing it. James 4:17 says, "If anyone knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them." 2 Peter 1:12 says, "So I will always remind you of these things, even though you know them and are firmly established in the truth you now have." Sometimes we just need a solid reminder of all the power and strength within our reach because of Jesus. Sometimes we need a strong reminder of how to apply the things we have been taught and know. Until we grasp those things, we will struggle. I know it's easy for me to write all these things about how to overcome and applying the things you've faced because I don't know your story. I don't know your struggles. I don't know the opposition you've faced and the pain you've felt. Just because I see a parallel between a tiny pixelated princess with a magic stick doesn't make your life easier. But please know, I'm taking the time to share these things, not just for space on a page or in your ears because of what I believe, but because I believe with confidence that there's a God who loves you and will fight for you. That he will take the hardest days, situations, and circumstances you've faced, make you stronger for it, and make something beautiful from it. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. First Peter 5:10 says, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." When the story ends, Zelda restores Hyrule, rescues Link, and hangs up her rod as a decoration because she's done with her battle. In the end, God is going to make something beautiful from your journey. Even though you may not be able to see it yet, he does, and he won't let you down. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. So that is the rough draft of Legend of Zelda Opposition into Arsenal. It should be in Faith and Fandom Book 10 when that's released. Until then, you can find it over at faithandfandom.org. And before I go, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters because you help cover all of our website fees, hosting, internet, podcasting, Zoom, books, games, all the things that actually go into making this stuff happen. You cover it, con expenses. You help make that possible on in ways that just selling stuff at booths never makes happen. So thank you. Michelle Stewart, Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Benson, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you for all supporting the way that you do. And thank you all for taking time to listen. Up next should be a upcoming devotional on delicious and dungeon and feeding yourself. So be on the lookout for that.